for Dash during today's session. We'd love to hear from you. Hello.
Hey, Lana.
Good to see you. How are
You
ya?
too. Good. How are you?
Yeah, great, thanks. So to introduce Dash, and for those of you who aren't familiar to this series, this is my series called Get Dreaming With, where I've been interviewing all different kinds of dreamers around the globe, asking them about their unique skills, talents, habits, the stuff that they do. And I'm so excited to speak with you today, Dash, because you're a self-taught programmer and you're using that to help us lucid dreamers bridge communication from the dream space and the waking space and so much more. And I just think that's so interesting and amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. It's my first Instagram live, so like
Nice.
that's new to that's new to me. Yeah.
Awesome.
hmm
Well, for those of you who are maybe tuning in and not familiar with lucid dreaming, I guess, or with you, Dash, I'm curious, what started your journey with this? What made you interested in dream work, programming, combining the two?
Yeah. So my interest in lucid dreaming happened in college. A friend had brought it up to me, and I thought it was really cool, but it wasn't until uh a few years later, into like the middle of college, that I started pursuing it. And the reason was because, and you talked about this recently, but having dreams about foods that were not, kosher on my diet. So, um, in the dream, so I'd be tempted by things like brownies and pizza, and I would I would be like, okay, I'll have a little bite, I'll try it. And so I would have a little bite. It would taste so good. It tasted real, and then I would be like, I can't have any more. I'm on this diet. And then I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh my God, I could have kept eating. Like I could have had that experience of eating this food, and
Right.
then during my day kept eating, the whole foods that I was eating. So I remember about lucid dreaming, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to do that. And
Cool.
and so I did, and I went from like, having basically no lucid dreams. I was not a natural lucid dreamer. I think I maybe had like three by accident in my life at that time.
Cool.
Um, but wasn't a regular natural lucid dreamer. So I went from having basically none to having about three every night, and in a 5 month period. And that was like,
Amazing.
yeah.
That's so
hmm
cool. And yeah, absolutely. I've been, exploring that myself, cutting sugar out my diet, and it's been amazing to still be able to kind of indulge and eat chocolate and know that it's not actually damaging my health and that I'm not eating however much sugar each day. And it's so cool to hear all the different things people are using the dream space for. So obviously for you, your kind of specialty is combining this with programming, and you're creating all these different programs. You've worked in different labs and stuff. So tell us a bit more about all that and how you got involved.
Yeah. So actually, so my two, like the biggest things I'm interested in are lucid dreaming and tech, and actually health, and they're all kind of combined because the health got me into lucid dreaming, and then the lucid dreaming got me into tech because I didn't know how to program before lucid dreaming, and I wanted to learn because I had all these ideas of how to enhance the lucid dreaming experience with tech.
Nice.
And so my first project that I wanted to make was a communication device, which is what I'm working on now. And that's what got me into lucid dreaming. So the idea is to be able to communicate while you're in the dream with the outside world using technology. And I started learning a little bit of robotics in college and a little bit of programming in college to try to do that. But it was like a bit over my head, the stuff I was trying to get into.
Yeah.
Uh, and then later, about 6 years later or so, I got back into it. I wanted to approach another lucid dreaming project, which was to make an app that had to do with like gamifying your reality checks. So I started to get back into tech. And when I started to get back into tech at that time, I realized that they had made a lot of hardware kits that would help me with my original project, which was the communication device.
Cool.
So yeah, originally I had to make everything myself with all these little components, and it was very complicated, all this electrical engineering that I was unfamiliar with and would take like a lot of training to get to a level where I'd be able to feel comfortable with that. But then they started making these electrical engineering kits that had to do with biosensing, and like it was all put together. I didn't have to take these little components and put them all, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to get back into that project. So I bought this kit, and it's a biosensing kit. So what it is, it has the sensitivity to pick up the voltage from your eye movement, your brain waves, the EEG, EKG, EOG, which eye movement, things that most sensors there wasn't anything to buy back when I first started like that could pick that stuff up. So that's why I got back into that. And I've since I've taught myself a lot of code since then. I started a business that has nothing to do with lucid dreaming and has to do with tech. So now it kind of went off somewhere else, and I'm still working on that dream phone. Yeah, and the dream phone is it's almost complete. There's like some little tweaking I have to do. Yeah.
So exciting. So for people who maybe are not familiar with this kind of thing, tell us more about like, what is the use of a dream phone? Like, why would you need one as a lucid dreamer? Like, how do you see it working?
Yeah. For me, it was just something I thought was like there was a lot of potential uses, and I just thought it was so interesting, like a place to explore that we haven't really been able to explore. Because what you get from the dream phone is that you get to bring something from the dream to the real world, and that is some sort of message,
Right.
Or it could be, you could really do a lot of things with it. So for me, my focus was to communicate with Morse code from the dream.
Cool.
Yeah, but you could really do you could program it to do a lot of different things. So it could be programmed to make music, it could be programmed to draw. Yeah, so, and that's not something I've worked on, but it could be done. But for me, I'm focusing on the aspect of bringing a message from the dream world. And some applications from that are just, exploration, lucid dream studying and research, but also I would think that like therapy, it might have some applications.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's just something I think that if it's made public and it's a project I want to make open source, I think people will come up with some really awesome ideas for what to use it for.
Definitely. I think it would be really cool if it was hooked up. I know that I've had so many dreams where I've wanted to, I've received a really important message or seen something, and I've wanted to, continue my dream, but I also don't want to forget that part of it or something that someone said that feels really profound. So just as a personal element for myself, I find it something really fascinating and useful in terms of logging these incredible insights that come up inside our dream space.
Yeah, like a real-time a dream journal, sort of. Yeah.
Cool. Well, tell us more about you and your lucid dreams, because obviously to develop this kind of program and this kind of equipment, I'm guessing you have some powerful ones that, have made you really passionate about this subject. So if you're open to sharing like any of the lucid dreams you've had that have been really transformational for you or just exciting, that would be awesome to hear.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the first thing I ever used it for was just dieting. And I know that's like a sort of superficial thing. And I have used it for other purposes, but it's kind of an interesting, like not a lot of people use lucid dreaming so frequently for something that's kind of like really physical kind. It's like, because it really affected my physical life.
Yeah.
And that worked like so well for me. I got really almost too strict about my diet because I had the ability to. Like, I just knew that like nothing tempted me because I knew that I could eat it in my sleep.
Yeah.
So it was like a weird, I got like an advantage in a type of discipline. Like I had this power to be really disciplined. And I think that's an interesting use of lucid dreaming, to use it as an outlet for something that we have trouble with our discipline. And so that we kind of like outsource our cravings, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was sorry?
I was going to say, yeah, I've seen like your post from last year in 2019, and you were logging, yeah, your discipline. I think you had over 1,100 days of like being on this keto diet, and you did a year of coding every single day, like over 300 days of meditation in a row, 200 days of no caffeine, which is like incredible discipline for anyone. So yeah, did you use all of those different things in your dream space, and how do you feel those kind of elements played with each other?
Yeah, I think, well, for sure the food was like directly related. And I actually later went off keto. Like I was so disciplined, I had to like push myself off of it because it turned out being on it so long was not so good for me.
Okay.
But I was so disciplined. See, I think what happens with like discipline has it can be a bad thing to some extent because you can override your intuitions with your discipline. And I found that that was happening for me.
Gotcha.
So like with keto specifically, I think many people, I think it's got some benefits, and I think it's got some detriments if misused. And I think many people, their intuition has them cheat, but they think it's their impulses. Sometimes it is their impulses that has them eat cake or whatever, but sometimes it's your intuition telling you, you've been doing this for too long and you need some carbohydrates. And my discipline was overriding that intuition, and I ended up developing a hormone issue that's since been fixed. Okay. But still, it's a powerful thing to have that discipline, but unchecked it can be a problem. So but my dreaming definitely helped with the food, the discipline in the food. And I don't know, I think like I think indirectly it helped with a lot of my other disciplines.
Cool.
Like with coding, I would kind of bring in coding to my dreams in order to like make it something that I wanted to focus on. Wow. So and I don't even know if that was like just lucid dreams. I think I can kind of like, if I think about things a lot, I know they'll show up in my dreams. Right. So before I go to bed, I would think about coding. And then I would dream about coding, and it would help me focus on coding. So in that way, even my non-lucid dreams helped me with my discipline.
That's so cool. And I know like a lot of people will say that their dreams, both lucid and non-lucid, they come up with a lot of solutions for problems that they're having. And did you find that same thing, that, if you were having a problem with coding or trying to, find an answer for something you were working on, that you would find the solution from your dream space?
I found that I'm not sure if I ever had a lucid dream where I did that, but I definitely had hypnagogia where I did that for sure. Cool. And yeah, where I would go to, as I'm going to sleep, I'd think about the problem, and like, your brain gets loopy and you go into this hypnagogic state, and like the answer would come to me there. So
Amazing.
I did, and I found that an easy thing to utilize.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then obviously this year has been so crazy different for everyone, it being 2020, and like a lot of people are stuck inside and that kind of thing. So what do you, you know, that you went from last year being really focused on these kind of discipline practices in your dream space, what are you really focused on this year and using that space for?
In terms of my dream space, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
So it's been like a bit on the back burner, to be honest. But that's a little bit intentional. What I have been working on is the dream phone.
Cool.
And you know, when I say it's on the back burner, like I guess it's not really, because I've gone into the lab like several times at Northwestern to like be a subject in their lucid dream experiments. But just in I used to be a little bit more day to day, like doing more reality checks and trying to focus on having them every night.
Love it.
But my focus has been on the business that I'm building, the tech business that I'm working on. And I try to be, I try to just focus on like one thing at a time when I'm doing something. And I think that's why I got good at lucid dreaming.
Yeah, makes sense. So you mentioned kind of reality checking and doing that kind of thing when you're working on them, or you have something that you want to, you know, take into the space, your dreams, lucid and non-lucid, to focus in on what kind of reality checks do you use? Like, what are some of your favorite techniques? What really helps you get lucid so frequently?
Yeah, I'm a very mental person when it comes to lucid dreaming. I don't do too much like wake back to bed kind of physical body hacks, which are great for some people, but I find them a little bit like disruptive to my health. So I focus on a lot of reality checking. And when I was in college and I was doing it, it was like I was trying to make that question of like, am I dreaming? Like just a part of my daily life and like how I see the world. So I would do like any project or like assignment paper that was assigned to me, I would like try to fit in lucid dreaming somewhere in there so I could be thinking about it, you know. And I was like thinking about it all the time. So that's how I got to be like so good at it in college. But you can't fit it into your every single thing you do in reality. You can what's reality checking? Bjorn asked. Reality checking is when you do some sort of physical or mental task that can help you figure out if you're in a lucid dream or in a dream. So mine that I like to do is to hold my nose, keep my mouth closed, and try to breathe. I'm awake, no air can go through. That's how physical life is. And so I know I'm awake because I didn't feel air come through. But in a dream, if I did this, my hand's not really on my face. I'm dreaming that it's on my face, but I'm going to feel my real breath come in through my airways. And then that's how I know that I'm asleep and dreaming. So that's the physical thing that I actually do. I try to do it. In college, I did a lot of different ones. Like I had like words on my fingernails that I painted, and I would try to read them like all the time. I was just like doing it all, like I was doing like everything I could. But now it's more just the breath check, holding your nose. And then I started a meetup group. Oh, I didn't start. And we started Two Truths and a Dream. And that was where you would bring into the meetup 3 stories from your life. 2 of them were from real life, and 1 was from your dream. And everyone had to guess which one was the dream and which one was waking life. So you had to bring in like crazy stories from your waking life to kind of like make it hard for people. Yeah. But what it did was it made it really communal, and it kind of made it competitive. So it helped my reality checking because I was always looking like, oh, what fun thing can I bring to the group? Like what, like, oh, here's like, I would start noticing like more crazy things that were happening. And you'd get more points in the game if you reality checked to anything. So
Love
it was
that.
a motivator. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such an important part of it is, you know, there's so many different physical reality checks or mental checks, whether it's like the nose pinch, like you're saying, or flipping your hand over, these kind of things, or just asking yourself if you're dreaming. But the more fun you have with it and the more personalized that you make it, I feel like the easier it is to actually get lucid. Like you said, if you're having fun, if it means something to you, if it's in connection to something you're passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that was missing for me for a long time was the communal aspect of it.
Mm.
When I started doing the meetups, it it was like not just in my head. It was like there were other people involved, and that was a big motivator. And also, some of the people involved were people who were in the meetups, were people in my daily life, like people I saw, they were friends or family.
Oh,
And so they would start asking me to reality check. They'd be like, oh, this could be a dream. So it started being not just communal at the meetups, but communal in my daily life.
I love that. Yeah,
I
it's
would,
amazing.
I even had some dreams where in the dream, a friend would say, we should reality check. And it turned out it was a dream.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's great. It's definitely great to have a space to, you know, talk with people about this kind of stuff because it is still quite an unknown topic in the grand scheme of things that can be so helpful for so many people, but it's definitely still not extremely well known. So knowing that there are those communities out there and people who are interested in, you know, helping each other be lucid more frequently is really amazing.
Yeah. And if you're in like if you're someone who's in a city and you look up there, there will probably be at least a dream meetup where people might be interested in lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough in Chicago to have an actual lucid dream meetup,
Cool.
and there are a few I've seen in other cities.
Love that.
Um, and you can always start one.
Cool. So for those who are interested in what you're creating with the dream phone, like starting to bridge that kind of communication between them and the waking space, or like them and even other dreamers, maybe that's further down the line. But what kind of stuff should they start doing to practice? Like, are you doing things at the moment to practice trying to send messages? I know you talked a bit about eye oscillation and that kind of thing. So maybe you can go into more detail about how that really works, like what it would really look like if you were
Yeah.
lucid and attempting to send a message.
So I was practicing something. I was working on sending Morse code with my eyes. And my device already picks that up. So I have my device here so I can
Oh,
show
cool.
you how it
Yeah.
works. If I can turn this around. Yeah, okay. So, um, so here is
Oh,
what it
wow.
looks like. So okay, so this is well, let me explain first, like just the basic idea of it. But what it does is, it hooks up to, imagine there's electrodes. This clips onto electrodes, and they go to both sides of my head, and then one here for ground. And so when you're sleeping, your eyes, you can control the movement. So if I look right, I'm actually looking right in waking life. My eyes are moving. So it's one of the few ways where you can communicate that, and breath, you can control your breath. So so this device picks up eye movements. That's called electrooculography, EOG. It's like if you've heard of EEG, EKG, EMG, those are just different biosensing technologies, and this is biosensing for the eye movement. And so I've coded it to take those signals and convert them to Morse code and understand and interpret them. So this is what the device would look like. And I actually have an induction, so I'll show you everything. So we have, this is the hardware. You have Arduino on the bottom. That's basically like a computer chip. And then the top part is the Backyard Brains hardened brain spiker, which is a biosensing shield. A shield is just like a modular piece that plugs into the Arduino. So it's just like a kit that figures everything out for me. So it's just a biosensing extension basically for this computer chip. And that's plugged into these cords, which hook up to my face with electrodes. Okay, so I'm sleeping, imagine I'm sleeping, and that's hooked up to me. And this will sense when I'm dreaming through eye movement. You could also do it with EEG, but I need to get a different piece of hardware to do that, which I probably will. But it's just picking up your eye movement and detecting dream, or when you're dreaming from that, which then sends a signal to this thing, which is a piece of cardboard. This will go on the headboard over there. And this is supposed to be attached to it, but it fell off because it was taped on. But this goes on it like so all the way across. And it is an LED strip. And the LED strip is like, it will light up, and my eyes will pick up the light, and it will signal to me when I'm dreaming through light. And that's the induction side of it. So that's the side of the device that gets me lucid in case I'm not already lucid, right?
Awesome.
So then then there's a signal. It's programmed to understand a signal that means I'm lucid. I understand that I'm dreaming now. And once that happens, the lights will turn off. Once I send the signal that I'm lucid, lights will turn off. If not, they'll keep getting brighter and brighter and brighter until I wake up, or till I get lucid. At that point, the device knows now to listen for Morse code. So at that point, I can tell it whatever I want, and it will send the message to my computer, and my computer will handle it in whatever way I've programmed it. So far, I have a way for it to send texts to people.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like a text and lucid dream. And I will be setting it up to work with Twitter, the Twitter API, so I can live tweet from a dream.
Amazing. I mean, massive congratulations. That is so cool. Something that I'm definitely so excited about, and I'm sure many people tuning into this are really excited about that concept as well. Just to go over what you were saying, so you're saying that you've got the LED strip, and that's for induction. So I'm guessing that the light works by, in your dream, it'll start getting, you know, really bright, and that's like a dream sign to be like, oh, I'm dreaming right now.
Yeah, and that is how they do it at Northwestern. For those who are joining or don't know, I've been like a guinea pig at Northwestern for a lot of lucid dream studies. And I took a lot from what they did because I loved their setup. Like, I don't like sleeping with, I've tried those lucid dream masks with the lights that flash in your eyes, and they're just too uncomfortable for me.
Gotcha.
Even all wired up with the electrodes like I am at the lab is more comfortable than those masks.
Gotcha.
So the wired electrodes are fine. And I don't have a dream mask on, but the whole room lights up. So that's how I prefer it. I like how that feels. It worked really well at the lab, and so I copied what they did. And I originally didn't even have induction on this device.
Cool.
But I was wasting a lot of electrodes not getting lucid and testing it out.
Why
So
not have it? Yeah. I love that. And like, do you have stats on that? Like how effective it is as an induction technique? Like how often it will get you lucid, or what kind of things happen in the dream space? Like, I know people who use the masks will say, you know, when the lights go on, they'll almost see the dream trying to create something like car headlights or that kind of thing.
Yeah. So mine I have not tested yet. But I've used the ones at the lab. I haven't tested mine yet because I need to like fix some component before I do. but I've had my fair share of experiences with the masks and the lab, and I've had it does like tend to get incorporated into the story. The first like successful induction at the lab that they did, what happened was like I'm suddenly I hear a thump and I'm suddenly aware, but there's no light, like I can't see anything, and I'm like, oh no, that thump was me hitting someone. I fell asleep at the wheel driving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course that happened. I've been going to this lab and like I'm sleep deprived because like you don't get a good night's sleep. So I'm like, shoot, I'm sleep deprived. I fell asleep at the wheel and I hit someone. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. But I'm like, I can't see anything. And then lights flash in my eye. And I'm like, this is getting worse. There's a cop involved. and then I'm like, no, it's not a cop. It's the light. It's the light in the lab. And I didn't kill anybody.
Nice, yeah.
So that was my first experience at the lab, and I've had other experiences with the lights in the like the mask. Lost my train of thought. Where like things like sometimes it didn't get incorporated, which is great because or like it gets incorporated but in a non contextual way. So one time like I was just in the kitchen and there's like a green flash of light, and like there's never a green flash of light in the kitchen. Like that's the best case scenario
Pretty
because
obvious.
then I know. Yeah.
Cool. And then Aaron's commenting saying, is there a way, people can make this kind of device at home if we're not super techie or that kind of thing?
Yeah. So the kit is great because it's really helped me to make this. Oh, well, okay. So the kit really helped me do it. The problem is that they discontinued the kit, but there's another kit that I want to like test, and basically I want to put it together for everybody and then with instructions so like people can experiment with it themselves. As far as I know, the kit that I used is discontinued, and that was if you want to look it up, it's the Backyard Brains Heart and Brain Spiker Shield.
Cool.
It has to be shield, not box. But I have the instructions for how I did it so far, and I haven't put all the instructions up, but when I'm done, I will, so that people can replicate it. It's something that I just want to be open source, and I want people to play around with it.
Amazing. So
yeah.
basically, yeah, go follow Dash because she's putting it all up. You've got it on your Instagram, I know, like little clips of what you're doing and what you're working on in the lab. And I'm sure you're going to keep updating us on your process with this project as well.
Yeah. And if anybody is like, just wants to start playing with it, like just message me. Like maybe I can help get you set up. And even if even like the instructions for how to like upload my code and just put the kit together is too much, I can even like try to maybe put something together for someone if they're like super interested. But just reach out to me if anybody is interested.
Love it. Kind of stemming back into the community feel like you were saying, and having a team of people working is always easier than yourself. So have you thought about how close are you to getting a tweet out there? Do you feel like it's going to happen within the next year? What's like your rough estimates for pioneering this?
Yeah, I think for sure the next year. It's like it's pretty much almost there. And I've just been putting it on hold. So I think once I stop putting it on hold, I'll be able to do it pretty quickly. But with tech, you really never know because like something new can happen that you're like didn't expect. True. And you can be pushed back a lot.
Yeah.
But
well, from the comments in here, I think you're gonna get a lot of messages from people saying that they're ready for it to be taken off hold and even getting involved. So that's super exciting.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Have you thought about what you want your first tweet to be? Like, if we're following you on Twitter, how do we know when this has happened? Like, what are you gonna send?
Well, there's a phrase that is like always the first thing you send out in the tech world, and that's hello world. You always send out hello world as the first thing. So I'll probably send that out, but we'll see. I might do something else, or like it would be cool to like tweet at somebody, maybe someone like I'm famous or something. I really don't know. It depends how good I am at the Morse code at the time too.
Interesting.
It may be a bunch.
Oh, go ahead.
It may be a bunch of gibberish if I can't get the Morse code perfect.
Cool.
So
I know,
we'll see.
like you're saying about Morse code, and I've seen some people making projects where instead of Morse code, it's kind of like they have like a holographic keyboard, and so they can move their eyes on the keyboard, and that would kind of type out kind of like what they would want to say through eye oscillations, but matched up with an actual keyboard. So I don't know, is that also something that would work with what you're doing?
There, so Karen Conkley, who is the researcher that I'm the guinea pig for at Northwestern, so she said that she was involved in that study or something. She was a participant, or she knows the person who did that. And she was kind of talking to me about that. And from what I understand, it was a little limited because you had to pick what like words you wanted to send from before, because it's, you know, it's a limited like it can't like detect like exactly what key you're looking at. It's kind of picking up the shape of the stroke. So that was a little limited. But I think if you had like some super good sensors, you could maybe get that good. But I don't know. That seems like it would be difficult to send like kind of complicated messages
That
from.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
for most of us, we got to get our Morse code back on so that we can get involved in this. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dash. I know we've gone to nearly 40 minutes. Just wanted to finish up by asking you, is there anything else that you'd want to share with us today that you haven't shared so far?
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Cool.
Yeah, I had an awesome time.
Yeah, me too. I'm super excited about this. I always ask everyone, is there another dreamer or lucid dreamer or someone who's working on something cool in the dream realms, maybe even also the tech realms, that you'd love to see on this series?
Yeah, I think you should talk to Karen Conkley.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes.
She's the person working on the keyboard stuff and in the lab with you.
So she's the keyboard. She knows the person who did that, but she does the studies. So she did the two-way communication study, which was the first one I was in, where she spoke to me from the lucid dream.
Amazing.
And we used eye movements. We didn't use Morse code. We just had like yes, no, simple things.
Gotcha.
And she's also working now on another study trying to figure out if alpha waves can be produced by your brain when you dream closing your eyes. So
cool.
She's doing some cool things, and she's really smart, and she's always telling me like just like the coolest stuff. She knows so much about lucid dream research. She's definitely an interesting person.
Amazing. Thank you for recommending her. And for those people who want to, follow you probably on Twitter and maybe through, I know you have some different websites about coding, that kind of thing. Where can people find you, connect with you? What's the best way to do that?
And the best way is through Twitter, and my DMs are open on Twitter, so you can always message me. But you can also get to me here on Instagram. And you can also get to me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is -BH, if you do like the URL. And I have a GitHub blog that I post what I'm up to. It's not always lucid dream stuff. It's usually, it could be lucid dream stuff, deep fakes, coding, or my business. But if you're interested in anything I'm interested in, that I post it pretty much once a week on Twitter. So
Epic.
you'll find it there somewhere.
Love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much, Dash. Super excited, and we'll definitely have to have you back when you're progressing even further with this. I feel like a ton of people want to be involved, and thanks for sharing what you do with all of us in the dreaming community. I definitely couldn't work out programming and that stuff myself, so really appreciate you and everything that you're contributing to help us connect with each other and through the dream world and the waking world.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really awesome. It's nice
Yeah.
to I love that you're getting all these lucid dreamers out, and I've seen just the lucid dream community really grow since like 5 years ago when I was on Instagram, like posting like dreamy kaleidoscope pictures on here.
For sure.
It's really nice to see that there's real faces too, not just avatars, like, and get to know people.
For sure. Yeah, amazing. And then are you still running your community in Chicago? You talked about doing those kind of dream tasks. What's the name of that if people want to join that kind of thing?
So that was, it hasn't been active for the last like 6 months or so, but it when we are active, we have been doing it on Zoom
Oh, cool.
because of COVID times. So if you want to check it out, I think it's called Advanced slash, or no, not Advanced. It's called Active Lucid Dreamers, and it's the Chicago group. If you search Lucid Dreaming in Chicago, will come up. But you can join it from anywhere in the world when we're on Zoom.
Amazing. I might have to sneak into the next one you do then. So it
Mhm.
sounds really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd
Love
be
it.
awesome.
Thanks so much, Dash. I'm looking forward to seeing all the progress, and have an awesome rest of your week.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye.